Hello and good Monday morning to all of you. And thank you for joining me today. We're going to talk about life balance today and what that feels like. Is that just a concept that might even be foreign to you that you don't even think is possible? Having a balanced life and managing your time. Is that something that you feel is even achievable? First, though, I want to thank you for joining me and welcome you to the Child Care Business Coach podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Evelyn Knight, for those of you who are new to me, and you can check out my bio in the notes. So I'm not going to go too far into that. So I want to ask you, and I want you to sit with yourself for just a moment. If you're driving, just concentrate on this. If you're working, I want you just to take a moment, even if you just stand there for a moment and ask yourself, is my life balanced? Do I feel like I am in balance right now? Do I feel like my life is really living up to what I want it to be? And do I feel like I'm in balance? I was thinking about this Mindset Monday and how I was going to approach it. And as I was writing it, it kind of realized, oh, this is going to be a precursor to the masterclass that I'm teaching on Friday. And for those of you who don't know, I am doing a masterclass on time management, how to manage your time. But I was really thinking this weekend, I have what you need. I can literally change your life, not just your business, but your life with the things that I teach. I know it works because I've changed my own life and I have several clients that I've changed their lives and I hear from them all the time. So, as I was thinking about this, and I actually had a conversation with our Christina Richmond, who is in this group, over the weekend about this, I had to sit back and ask myself, why is it that some people change and some don't? They go through the same program. And I know the answer. It's more a question of how do we get you to understand the answer? And it's really changing your paradigm. We need to literally change how you see the world and open your eyes to something so new. And it starts with time management. I have a confession to make on that one as well. And one of the confessions today that I have for you is that I understand the vast importance of having an abundance mindset, right? And for those of you who don't know, having an abundance mindset means that you see that there's plenty of everything in the world. You have, and maybe you don't feel it yet, but there is plenty of money. There is plenty of love. There is plenty out there. And there really is. I know in your mind you're thinking, no, 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 there's just not enough. But there is. There is. It's just how you see it, right? So, as I was thinking about this and that abundance versus scarcity, people with a scarcity mentality basically think in terms of there's just not enough. There's not enough love. There's not enough time. There's not enough good employees, right? I'm a perfect example of that. At my childcare center, we don't have a hard time hiring, but I also have an abundance mentality. I know there's enough people out there for me to hire, and I know I'm going to attract them. But many of you think, oh, the people just don't want to work and they're just not out there. So you're not attracting them. It's all in your head. Honestly, I know that's hard to hear and hard to take, but it's the truth. So, my confession is that as I was really working last week on just some deep, deep gratitude work and really just looking at life from an abundant mindset, I realized that I have a mindset of scarcity when it comes to time, that I actually do approach time from a scarcity mindset. And a big part of that, and now it's something I'm really working on and changing my mental focus on that because I do want to have an abundant mindset in everything in my life. But what I realized was that the reason I have a scarcity mindset is because I lost my husband. And for him, time is over. it's up, right? And I realized, oh my gosh, there might be a never ending supply of money out there. There might be a never ending supply of how much love I can give and receive and how much I can do and how much is done for me. But there's a limit to how much time there is. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that there isn't enough. Because on the other hand, I teach and I know that there is enough time. It's what I teach, right? People who go through my program, the first thing I teach you is how to take charge of your time because there's more than enough time. There is more than enough. It's just we don't know how to use our time correctly. So we feel like there just isn't enough. And when you tell yourself there isn't enough, there's not going to be enough, right? So I've been stuck in the mindset of there's just not enough time. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough time. And I got to do this and I got to do that. And I realized, what am I doing? There is enough time. I know there is. And for those of you who think there isn't enough time, did you pick up your phone this morning? Did you go on social media? If you have time to go on social media, then you have plenty of time. Did you watch a TV show over last week at all? Do you watch regular TV shows? If you have time to watch TV shows, then you have time. I don't watch TV at all, period. I don't have a TV show. I don't watch TV. I will literally go months without ever turning on a television unless it's to put music on YouTube. But I just realized once in my life and I'm going to teach this on Fridays. So if you haven't signed up for the time management course, make sure you sign up for it. I am going to teach you how to find your time, how to get it back, and how to do all of the things I'm talking about today. But when I realized where I was losing time, I did realize, and I do know in my heart that there is an abundance of time. But after my husband died, I started having a scarcity mindset when it comes to time. And last week I realized I need to change that. I need to change that because there is more than enough time for everything we need. It's how we see it. It's the stories we're telling ourselves in our head that leads us in the wrong direction. So what ends up happening because of that is we end up living a life that's out of balance because we are not managing our time correctly. And it is. I know this is so hard for leaders to hear, but it really does come down to your time management choices. You just don't know what to do. That's it. That's all it is. And when you learn how to manage your time and you get a hold of it, you can learn how to balance your life. Because if you feel like you're out of balance right now, which I know so many of you do, there is a way to fix that. But it does take intentionality. It does take techniques. It does take a little bit of work, but it is so worth it. You put a little bit of work on in the front end, and it's going to save you so much in the back end. When I was going through this, I used to tell myself, well, I don't have time. I don't have time, right? And one day, my business coach at the time basically said to me, okay, Evelyn, you're afraid to give this 3 hours of your time right now. Yet every week you're losing 10 to 20 hours a week because you won't commit to sitting down and taking 3 hours of time. And then she basically said, let's say if you're just losing 10 hours a week, right? And let's say you're losing 15 minutes at a time. And in Friday's course, I'm going to show you how to find those 15 minutes that you're losing, right? So think about it this way. Let's say you're losing 5 minutes. We'll go 5 minutes. You're losing 5 minutes, right? Let's say you're losing 5 minutes 12 times a day. That's an hour a day. That's an hour a day. Okay. There's 365 days in 1 year. That means after 1 year, you're losing 365 hours. Think about that. We don't think that losing 5 minutes here and there is a big deal, right? And I want to clarify too, I'm not talking about really just organizing your time, right? I'm not talking about like eliminating things that make you relax, because if anything, I'm going to tell you to add more, right? And if anything, I'm going to tell you, when you organize your time, you're going to add exercise, you're going to add relaxation. The problem is it's like we have this bucket and we have all these holes punctured in it, right? And we're pouring water into it, and all the water is flowing out of these holes. That's what you're doing with your time, and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize that you are literally just taking a hammer and putting nails in the bucket that your time is held in, and you're wasting so much of it. So, what ends up happening? You end up living a life out of balance. You end up in a frenzy that is never ending, a never ending frenzy of waking up in the morning exhausted, just dragging yourself to take a shower, and then dealing with the children or the dogs or work as soon as you wake up. And by the time you even leave your house, you're exhausted. Before you even get to work, you're exhausted. And then you grind all day long at work, and then you get home and you're just striving just to get to bed, right? Many of you live that life, and you're not doing anything that makes you feel joyful. You're not doing anything that gives you peace and happiness. There is nothing left for you. There is nothing left for you in this life. But it doesn't have to be that way. I know, because I lived that life too once. I lived a life where I was so miserable. I was miserable. I hated my childcare center. I felt like it had stolen my life from me. Felt like it was stealing my family time. Felt like it had stolen so much of me. And I got tired of living that way. I got tired of it. So, not only when I started this journey, I really started it to learn how to manage my money. But then when I did, it was like the dominoes just kept falling and everything just started working out for me. I realized that these money principles that I was learning, I could apply it to my time. I could apply it to my diet. First, I actually applied my diet first, and then I lost 150 pounds, right? It's 160 at this point. And then I did it to my time. And I just started to obsess over how I could fix my life by just stepping in and being intentional. That's it. That's it. But it takes learning techniques. All of these books I have here, I've got probably 100 more in my house. I've got bookshelves of them. I set out to read and to learn, and I took courses. I take course after course after course. I hire coaches. I do all these things so that I can up level and up level and up level and up level and get to a better version of me. The version I am today that's just full of joy. I don't even like using the word happy, because if you ever look up like psychologically the difference between being joyful and happy, happy is what you feel in a moment, right? Like, I am happy Thanksgiving Day because it was a great Thanksgiving. But joy is how you are. It's a way of being. And I am joyful. I'm a joyful person. But I wasn't just born this way. It wasn't always there. I worked on me to get here. And what ends up happening is it makes me a better leader. It makes me a better boss for my employees. It makes me come up with better ideas, being more creative. I can show up for my people better because I did all these things. But you cannot get to this point if you don't learn how to manage your time first. Time management has to be the building block. It absolutely has to. I can give you everything you need to be the most successful business owner of all times. But if you don't know how to organize, how to manage, how to balance, and how to create boundaries within your time, you're not going to do anything with it. Nothing's going to happen, and you are not going to change. I could give you the best diet in the world. I can give you the best exercise plan in the world, right? I could show you, well, Christina can, I really can't, but we could show you so many things. Mandy could come to you and give you the best marketing plan for your childcare center in the world. Lisa can come and give you the best HR system. I have an amazing team that has the entire package for you. But if you don't know how to manage your time, you're never going to be able to use the tools that we can provide for you and make it happen. All of it starts with that balance, getting your life in balance, honoring you, really understanding what are my priorities? What do I really need to do? And how am I going to make this work? Your expectations really aren't there anymore. This is what you expect for your life, right? You just have these expectations that this is just what life is. There's really nothing to hope for. What am I going to do from here? This is just what it is, who I am. I can't change it. You've lost those expectations. Expectations can really be what causes hope in us and what causes disappointment and excitement and everything. Either a lack of them, realistic expectations, or unrealistic. Some of us have way unrealistic expectations. I'm sure many of you, when you started your childcare center, when you opened your doors, you had some pretty unrealistic expectations, right? That's why I have my building blocks program. Part of what we're trying to do is help childcare center owners know exactly what they're getting into and be prepared from day one to do it right from the start. But if you're already in it, you probably had some pretty unrealistic expectations. And now you're dealing with reality, which the reality turns into these really disappointing and sad expectations that are just bringing you down. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can take your life back. You can have a great holiday. This is my favorite time of year. I absolutely adore the Christmas season. I love it. This is it. From Thanksgiving on, this is my time. But years ago, when my son was born, I intentionally came up with a plan for my holiday season where I was not going to allow it to become that crazy frenzy that it is for so many of you. Where when you think of the holidays, you automatically get stressed out and you dread the holidays because if you know you're already juggling so much, how am I going to do this too? How am I going to pull off Christmas when I already don't have enough time? When I already can't do all the things that I need to do? When I already am exhausted and I barely can wake up in the morning? Now it's Christmas and I got to do that too? It doesn't have to be that way. You can take it all back. You can take your life back. You really can. You can have that joy and love for Christmas. I am the crazy Christmas lady. I could be elf, literally, because I've created a life for myself and for my children and my family where Christmas was awesome because I didn't allow it to be overwhelming. I created some really strong boundaries because I knew what I wanted it to look like. I created realistic expectations for myself and I created them in a way that I could create these beautiful Christmases. So it took intentionality. It really did. What you really want, what we all really want out of life is peace. We want to have peace. And right now, if you don't know how to manage your time, which you might think you do, you might have a planner and you might write schedules down and you've got things planned out. But if you live that life of just exhaustion and just not having enough time for the things you love and you want, then you don't know how to manage your time and you don't have peace. If you feel like you're out of balance, you haven't gotten that peace that you want right now. You really haven't. I'm going to read a quote to you. And I don't remember who said this. Honestly, I might have just said it I don't know. It was in one of my journals when I went through them, one of my time management journals when I was learning it. Um, I might have actually written this. I don't know. I actually circled it. I thought it was a quote, but now that I'm looking at it, it might have just actually been me writing it and I circled it to remember. But fulfillment is created when our schedule aligns with what we are becoming and who we want to be. Think about that. Fulfillment is created when our schedules are aligned with who we are becoming and who we want to be. Is your schedule Is your time aligned with who you want to be? Do you feel like you're in balance? Do you feel like you live a life of peace? Really think about that. And I want you to take accountability, because a lot of times, many of you are going to start placing blame. You're going to start blaming your husband for not helping enough, your staff for not stepping up. You're going to blame maybe me, your business coach, because the program wasn't what you thought it was going to be. You're blaming your unrealistic expectations of others, and you're not taking accountability. And when you don't take accountability, you can't change. So the first thing you need to do is admit to yourself that where you are today is because of the choices you make, and that you need to make a change. And then we can start making that change happen. We can really start working on helping you get there. So for those of you who haven't signed up yet, I want you to make sure that you're taking that time management class. For those of you who are my members, it is free to you. Make sure it's on your calendar and be there. You do have the time. You do. You do. If you had to go to the doctor this week, if you broke your leg and you had to be rushed to the doctor, you would make it work, wouldn't you? You can make this work too. Pretend like you're getting on an airplane and you have no choice. Funny how we figure things out when we're going on vacation, isn't it? We suddenly grind and we get things done. You can get it done too. Make sure the time management is on your calendar and be there live. Be there live. It is so very important to be there live. You're not going to change if you don't make the time. And all of the things that I teach aren't going to work if you don't start taking accountability and you don't start making the time. So, also, for those of you who are using this as a prerequisite for the course, I want you to think about two things before we enter into Friday's time management course. I want you to ask yourself, first of all, is my life in balance? And I want you, yay, I say I'm going to be there live. Yay, I'm glad you'll be there live. I want you to ask yourself, am I living a life of balance right now? And I want you to take time to journal, even if you get your notebook on your phone out and, just type it in there. But I want you to truly, honestly ask yourself and take the accountability. Am I living a life of balance? And if not, what would balance look like to me? What does it look like to me to live in balance? What does that mean? What does it mean to be in balance to you? My definition might be different than yours, so I'm not going to give you a definition. So that is your homework for this week before we get into the time management training on Saturday. Yes, you want to make the time, be there live. Absolutely. I've got to you want to be there live, make the time. And you can. You have to start telling yourself that you have no choice, right? That's what I do. I sign up for different coaches all the time, and I basically just eliminate the choice. I don't have a choice. I have to be there. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I hope to see you again next week.